Byron Henry's with us right now. He's an attorney we turn to on all things legal. We thought we'd get him on to help us with this North Carolina, I think it's called HB2 officially there, the LGBT law that now the Justice Department says violates civil rights. North Carolina has to respond to the Justice Department. What do they have to respond to, Byron?
Well, they have to respond to a letter from the Civil Rights Director of the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department as to the Justice Department's allegations that having a bill or law that requires individuals to use the restroom of the gender at their birth violates the Civil Rights Act, which basically bans, as you and I know, a host of things, discrimination based on race, religion, national origin, and sex or gender. So
the response, is it just strictly how are we going to enforce it, or what are the ramifications of it? Is that what it is?
Well, I think what the Justice Department wants is a assurance that the law will either be repealed or at least it will not be enforced as it's written, and some sort of explanation to the Justice Department. I don't think they're going to get that based on the reports that I've read. They're going to get a response that that North Carolina does not believe that the law violates the Civil Rights Act, but I think the Justice Department is looking for something from the governor that they're basically not going to enforce it or take any action under it.
Yeah, but this bathroom issue is tied into an LGBT or a law that has a whole lot of things on its list. It's not a standalone law. This bathroom law. Why is it? Why is that? Why can't it be a standalone the bathroom locker room deal?
Well, from the Justice Department standpoint, that's all they're concerned with, meaning the law has lots of provisions with respect to discrimination ordinances and other issues of balance of power between cities, counties, and the state government. But the only part of the law that the Justice Department is interested in at this point is the provision requiring individuals to use restrooms. So, in other words, as long as North Carolina acquiesced, so to speak, on that point of the law, the rest of the law has not been challenged or otherwise called into question.
All right, Byron.
You know, a man goes into the woman's restroom to use it. Now then, if there's no urinals there, will that become a problem? Will they go to court? Will transgenders sue to have urinals put in women's restrooms?
Well, the interesting thing, Hal, is that as you know, the Civil Rights Act doesn't mention bathrooms. So what this really is not just about whether there's urinals or stalls or the accommodations, but this deals with public treatment of sex at all levels in universities and at the government level, which basically means this is the first salvo in a larger battle over whether or not government can distinguish between people at all based on their physical gender or gender characteristics at birth.
My goodness.
And from what I've read about the transgender population, they don't want urinals. Even though they don't want urinals. They're a male who thinks he's a woman doesn't want a urinal in that women's restroom.
Yeah, only the perverts will want that, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to get in there, and it's going to take that to wake them up, I suppose. And that's just an opinion, Byron. I don't want you don't have to comment on that, but that's
Well, I mean, the Attorney General here in Texas has sent Target a letter, as you may have read, asking them, based on their policy, what is their policy for the protection of women and children in restrooms in just the instances that you mentioned, Hal. So we're interested to hear a response on that and see if this is going to be the law, what are the other steps that retailers and universities and schools are taking to protect privacy and other interests in the restroom.
Byron Henry, thank you as always for the insight. Thanks for the time this morning. By the way, you mentioned the fact that HB2 had several other pieces within that legislation.
Right.
Pat McCrory, the